don't know what's going on with my mic, but this is ridiculous.
But it does sound a lot better when you have it right up close.
Like when I'm like here,
Yeah.
I feel like it feels like a tannoy system that I'm like leaning into it. But the thing is, I'll just end up looking at it and not you. Anyway, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We're going to talk about To Can Play. Now, you have been almost routinely on this channel, and I'm so very here for it. How does it feel to be reviewing another Ali Hazelwood book?
Always a good time.
Always a good time. What did you think of this one? For non-spoilery purposes, I'm going to put the non-spoiler banner on first.
I really enjoyed this one. Um, I read it. I did the audiobook last year because it was one of those like Spotify originals first. So I listened to the audiobook last year, and then I just reread the ebook last week to prep for this. Um, and I had a good time with it. Like it's just like a really cute, fun, chilled romance.
Yep.
Like the stakes are not that high.
Nope.
It's just a good wintry time.
I completely agree. Like I was almost disappointed I didn't save this for like later in the year, closer to Christmas. But I think I was quite keen to pick it up soon because it was one of the newer ones. I really like that kind of like wintry, stuck in a cabin vibes that they had. And we will get into like the spoiler a bit in a sec, but I thought actually the length of this as well, like the fact that it's a really short read, really lended itself to that as well. I'm a big fan of very short romances, and I feel like it avoided some of the tropes that would normally irritate me because it didn't really have time for them, if that makes sense. So,
And I think, and I say this with like the highest respect for the art form, it felt like fan fiction, right? Like it was just like I could imagine the storyline just being like an AU fanfic of one of my favorite couples that I was just reading like a really long form fanfic of two people just being cute together
mm-hmm.
um, that I love.
Yeah, which is very much I think where Ali Hazelwood like lives. Like that
Yeah.
is where their books I think do best is when it has that kind of AO3 feel to it, because I think when they try and take themselves really seriously, it loses it a little bit. Because like I don't know if you saw my response to Love Theoretically. I felt like it wasn't enough of one or the other. It wasn't a straight romance, but it was also very dark academia without it actually being like dark. It was really trying to be Ali Hazelwood witty. And actually, what I thought was really interesting about Two Can Play is that there aren't a lot of her standard Hazelwood tropes in them. Like we don't have the same level of like witty repartee or an overabundance of references to things, or a small animal familiar, which is the only trope they've had so far, which I've really enjoyed. But it felt like these characters could just be in their feelings and just deal with their stuff, which I was very here for.
Yeah.
So what star rating did you give it?
I mean, I'm gonna give it a 5.
Fair. You're like, Liz Hazelwood, I'm giving it 5. Like, no regrets. I gave it 4. There wasn't really any reason for it to lose the 5. It was just I feel such an emotional pull to certain books that Hazelwood's done that I've read before that are 5s, that I'm like, it's not quite where I felt that one was.
It didn't
Don't
make you
get me
cry.
harsh. It didn't make me cry. It did make me cry. It didn't make me laugh out loud either, which some of her other books have done. So those are the
Fair.
two things. To get 5 stars, it's got to do one of those two things. Okay, let's move on then to like the spoilery discussion element, because this is my favorite bit. Is like deep diving into what's going on, who, where, how, etc. I really enjoy that. Although this is a kind of rivals to lovers with miscommunication trope as like an archetype, the miscommunication is him overly respecting her boundaries. Like as opposed to in like Love Theoretically, where he's trying to control her boundaries and say no, you're not ready for this or whatever. I really liked that in this. He was like, you were whinging about guys being all over you, so I stayed away from you. I thought you said no, so I said no.
I was just like imagining because she like after that initial encounter when she kept trying to make friends with him, I was like, this poor guy is like she's asked me to stay away from her, but now she keeps seeking me out and being really nice to me. Like, what does she want?
I also just really love that he's like, oh, she's so nice, and she's like, like she keeps like trying to make me feel better. Like, oh god, she must have guys just throwing themselves. Like, I just find that so fun. I've recently, as in recently, like literally today, finished reading Rivals by Jilly Cooper. Have you
Mhm.
ever read any Jilly Cooper?
I haven't. I do want to watch the show. I'm
Genuinely,
considering reading the book.
the first one is messy. It's like 900 pages of absolute mess. The second one is the TV series is actually very true to the book. Like it does really like maintain that. Um, but the way the romances fumble, I just feel like you'd really enjoy it because it is like saucy. It is no by means like modern level of steamy. But just the way the way people are like, oh, they're just being nice to me, and it's like, no, I'm in love with you, is very reminiscent of this. And I just found this very like the fact that those books came out 40, 50 years apart, and I'm like, no, it's the same energy though, isn't it? It's the same thing happening. It was very funny to me. I thought it was really sweet that she's like, I don't really have like an issue with him. I have an issue with his company. I would have liked probably where it lost maybe half a star. It wouldn't have lost the whole star for this. Was that we didn't really see a whole lot of the company dynamic of them rebuilding this because everyone kind of broke off into their own thing, and he resolved stuff very quickly. Of like, nope, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
I respect it, but I feel like I wanted a little bit more of that.
that's fair. Yeah.
I just wanted
Um,
them to do more like team building stuff.
like slightly more structured than just, hey, do you want to come ski with us?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
I think my I feel like going into the retreat, the reason that they didn't plan any team building stuff was because they knew that the people would probably kill each other,
Mhm.
but also without having without like forcing them to mingle and spend time together. Had that showdown not happened, how did they actually think that they were going to get that the two teams were going to get to a point where they could work together?
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of interesting because it was almost like I really liked the subplot of the bosses having a
Mm-hmm.
relationship and being into each other. Um, I thought it was really funny. They were like, "We need our teams to get along," and if only he could tell me he loves me because I really love him. I was like, I really enjoyed that as like a backdrop to it,
Yeah,
but it was almost like they were like, "Well, we love each other. They'll get over it." In which case, why are we on this retreat in the first place? Like, why is that even necessary except for plot convenience? I do really, I really enjoyed just how antagonistic the characters were towards each other. That real like leveling, like that rivals element, I thought was done really, really well. Of like hating each other and like pranking each other, and also like when she's like, "Oh, I really like this song," so he just turns it off, and she thinks that's just because he hates her. It was very funny. I really enjoyed like those shenanigans.
that is a thing that the first time I read the book, and then also again this time, that I stuck on, and I was like, is it that he doesn't like want to know things about her because he feels like the more he knows about her, the more he'll fall in love with her?
Yeah, I get the impression I got was when she was like, "Oh my god, I love this song." He was like, "I will not be able to hear this ever again without thinking
Yeah,
about her if I don't turn this off right now." Because otherwise, how else could you read that? Otherwise, he is just being rude. Like he is just being like, "No," like, and he just doesn't really strike me as that kind of guy, you know.
yeah,
I like that we still have those classic Ali Hazelwood tropes of he's right behind me and massive, but he's not like massive, like built like a fridge massive, just kind of like tall and present, which I was very, very here for. And like, oh my god, I can see everything through his swimming trunks. and things like that. Like I loved that there was like still those elements, and I like that she created this whole world around a book series. I think that was probably one of
Mm.
the things that really leaned into the kind of fan fiction element of it. It was almost like these characters were self inserts in fan fiction, and I quite liked that.
Yeah, because kind of because she kind of starts telling you about the series, but doesn't like she doesn't tell you what the last book's about, so you're losing that thing that like is what the whole series hinges on, and then like as their relationship starts kind of moving towards something,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of get to know more about the series and how it mirrors each other. And then the moment that he, because I didn't know what limerence meant before I read this. So in the moment when it's like a needle drop when he says the like unrequited love thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was in my car when I was listening to it, and I think I like audibly gasped. I
That's
was
a
like, that's
lovely
why he loves them
line.
so much. It's his unrequited love.
Mm-hmm. I like that, and I like that also it mirrors it in the fact that like one of them is always pining and the other one hasn't realized it yet.
Mm.
Um, I do think that of all the love interests of Ali Hazelwood that I've met or that I've read so far since starting Bunsen, he is the most respectful of boundaries, um, which I'm very here for, um, whilst also the most. What's the opposite of self-aware? Like, what's the opposite of like intuitive as to like how the other person feels, which
Mm.
I assume is by design. But I kind of love the idea that he almost falls into that nerdy stereotype of I don't know what's going on in your head. I couldn't even possibly guess, which I thought was very sweet. Um, how do you feel about like workplace romances, like as a genre trope? Where do you stand on workplace romances?
I'm a big fan. I'm busy writing a workplace romance, um, but I am a big fan. But also the book that like got me into adult romance was The Hating Game,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I reread a year or two after I read it for the first time, and I've been really scared to reread since
Mm-hmm.
because I think because it like kickstarted my love of adult romance, I think I have so much love for that book that I'm so scared that it won't hold up. That it's now one of those books that I feel like I can't ever revisit
Oh, I've got
because
really good news on
like
that.
it means so much to me.
I've got the audiobook. The audiobook I think is maybe the third oldest audiobook that I have on my Audible account. I think I've had it on there for as long as I've had Audible and I've not read it yet. For no fault of its own other than that I don't own a paperback copy to remind me to TBR it when it comes to like setting my TBRs. Um, I would absolutely buddy read it with you, and I will not poo-poo it in any way if it is the one that started your illustrious career. Um, I think I do like workplace romances. I don't read very many of them. I think the last one that I read was The Worst Best Man, which was a really fun romance where they were also rivals and enemies, like hated each other, but going for a job that both of them would have to be nice to each other to get their half of this new job thing. Um, I think I like it because it gives them a reason for constant interaction and
Yeah.
like the inability to escape it is also very familiar and quite and like, I think also because the idea of this being gaming, I really enjoyed. I love that Ali Hazelwood stayed true to her. Women have it harder in STEM. Don't forget energy as well. The fact that he's like, no, I saw your CV and knew you were too good for this place. Like basically, I really liked that, um, and the fact that she's very good at what she does.
Mhm.
And like the narrative side of it, I feel like that is probably self-insert Ali Hazelwood of my thing is the stories. I'm very good at the
Yeah.
stories. Like, yes, you are, Ali. Yes, you are.
But I also liked that she does because when he talks about her portfolio, I don't actually remember if this was in the book or if it was in the bonus scene, but that her work has been a little bit like whimsical and
Mm-hmm.
like there's like some cute stuff, and so I like that there's like that like element of femininity in her work that even though she's in a male dominated field, she hasn't felt like she needs to be making like male dominated work
Mhm.
to get where she wants to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is really good representation of any kind of like STEM work. Um, because yeah, we need whimsical feminine stuff too. We deserve that. No, I really liked it. I really liked their character dynamic. I really liked their romantic dynamic. I thought the smoochy scenes were great. Loved their smoochy scenes. There wasn't really anything I could fault with it. I think if it had been 100 pages longer, it wouldn't have worked. There were
Yeah.
elements of this that worked because it was like over a weekend. And I really liked that the final moment is him being like, "No, you don't need my number. You're coming to my house. Like you're coming here now. Like we're not waiting around. I'm not doing this. I'm your boyfriend now. We're moving forward." And I really liked that. Love an assertive man.
Yeah. And also that he had been like, this is not going to be casual for me,
Mm.
and then it very much proved it.
Yeah, yeah. She was like, "No, I think we can do. Maybe we can try casuals," and he's like, "No, no, that's not gonna happen." I liked that. I respected that. Um, no, I don't know what else to draw from it. I think there were some things that I thought were picked up and put down very quickly. Like her friend who has like that real issue with the other side because of her ex-boyfriend was
Yeah.
kind of not resolved at the end. It's just like she's just gonna have to get over it, kind of thing. So I would be really interested to see her story as a sequel to like
Hmm.
say like they've like finished building the game. They're at an awards ceremony, and she whoopses her way into a new relationship. I'd be so here for that. That's the AO3 I'll write next.
And it did. I mean, she's just done what looks like a sequel to one of the other like audio
Mm.
novellas that she did. Um, and she's spoken about doing. She said that like if she had to do any spin-off, she would love to write a story for Cece from Love Theoretically. And as I was rereading it, I was like, this feels like a thread that's been put here so that if she has like the opportunity and the time at some point, she wants to pick it up.
Yeah, which fair enough. I would absolutely, as a literature student myself, I would happily um, read about Cece and her sugar daddy boyfriend that maybe becomes her actual boyfriend. Um, yeah, would be very very here for that. And I feel like also it's very topical with like the euphoria like themes and stuff in
Mm.
pop culture at the moment as well. Very interesting, very interesting. But I guess the thing with this book, because it's so short and sweet, there's not a lot to dissect. There's not a lot of like nuance with what's
Yeah.
happening. It's very kind of like she's dealing with this crush that she's got. It's dealt with. Everyone else deals with it. The workplace stuff is resolved. He tells people to get wrecked like real quick, and then they just hang out in his room for the rest of the weekend. Like it's not a long read. Like you can kind of dip your toe in if you're new to Ali Hazelwood.
Mm.
I think it's a pretty decent place to start.
Yeah, I think it would set your expectations for the full length books very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. Did you have any like things that you wanted to raise about it? Was there specific like characters you wanted to discuss or like scenes you wanted to discuss? Otherwise, this is going to be the shortest episode we have.
I did enjoy that there was absolutely no third act conflict, um, because I am a third act conflict defender. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can enjoy a book that has no third act breakup, but I am like it's part of story structure, like it's part of good story structure, right? Like something has to happen even if they don't break up.
Yeah.
And I think as I was reading it the first time, I was like watching the time go down on the audiobook, and I was like, if something goes wrong now, it's going to be such an unsatisfying
Mm-hmm.
like getting back together because it's going to have to happen so quickly.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that it was just like a build, and I think that for me was what led into that feeling of like this just feels like I clicked on a fanfic that was labeled like fluff slash smut. like,
That is a
um,
very accurate description of this for sure.
like it was just like a nice little crescendo with no dip,
Yeah,
which
I think that's
which
it.
was fun and different.
It mirrors their romantic life life and their work life of like the third act conflict, if you were going to define one, would probably be the work of them being like, no, no, we're going to do it this way. Like, we have to do it this way to do it right. Um, and I think even that is it's very passive. There's a lot about this that is very, very passive, but I didn't mind it. I didn't feel like the characters were halting themselves or slowing themselves down for the sake of narrative, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. It felt like actually, like you're right, it was moving towards. Oh, is your little boy crying? He's gonna cry.
I'm not just leaving him to cry. He is with his
No,
dad.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For anyone else watching this, two parents, we're all good. It was more just I was like, no, I was like talking about like, yeah, it builds to a crescendo, and I can hear him on my shoulder, and I was like, oh,
Literal crescendo.
no, that's cool. No, I agree. I think, yeah, no, I think I completely agree on all of that. There was something else because it was a workplace romance, and it was something else that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was now. Let's see if I can find my notes.
You did in your Instagram story. You said we were going to talk about game development.
Yeah, so the fact that like as an element of STEM that is not talked about a lot, um, how did you find that element of the narrative? The fact that it's about games development and games design, as opposed to the usual science and maths stuff.
So, like, I don't have an understanding of game design, but I have like a better understanding of games of the gaming world than I do of experimental physics. So it was nice that, and also like I do understand storytelling and like design, and so even though I could not build a video game, most of the stuff that was being discussed on some level I could understand or relate to, which made a nice change because this book had no moments that left me feeling stupid.
I think that's it. I also, yeah, I completely agree. I think it's always really interesting to me because I love dark academia and STEM romances for that new information, like how smart these people are to know stuff that I don't know. And I think the fact that hers was about narrative was probably the closest we've got to a literary mind, literature head type main character since CC, like since
Yeah.
seeing someone who's actively looking after like linguistics and stuff, and even that is language versus literature and being aware of. So I think that was really fun. I think I also really liked the fact that there was clearly a team behind it, like that you had two teams. It wasn't just because I think with some Ali Hazelwood books, you have the person doing their research and you have either their mentor or their colleagues, but the team isn't very big. I think I like that even though this was a short book, it had quite a big cast. Like there were quite a
Yeah.
few people to keep track of, and a lot of like interconnected relationships because of that. Um, I think that was balanced really well because sometimes you can be given like an onslaught of characters and you're like, I have no idea who any of these people are.
I was going to say, I feel like we, even though all of them got very little page time, like Ethan and Shannon and is her manager's name Mike?
Yes,
Mike
it
or
is
Mark?
Mike.
Mike. Mike and Otto. I felt like I got a really good idea of what their character was like,
Yeah,
even though we didn't see them that much.
yeah, yeah. And like when they're feeling, oh, like in their emotions and like storming off from the table and who's following who. And I also really like the fact that she's like, no, he is just my friend. Like you don't need to get territorial. He is just my friend. I really enjoy that because I think it's really nice that more books have male female friendships, and that's their rock. Like when she's feeling in her feelings about what's going on, she's got a male friend to talk to
Mm.
and a female friend to talk to, as opposed to that stereotypical failed Bechdel test of two women talking about a guy again kind of thing. Um, and I like the fact that although he's like, oh, I just assumed you guys were together because you're always together, as opposed to like anything else, and like, oh, you must be cheating on her because I've just seen you with so and so. I thought that was cute, and I think it was a subtle nod to being like, let's not assume, let's not assume that everyone's in a relationship just because they spend time together, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I love a friends to lovers, as you know. But I really like when we get just like healthy representations of male female friendships that don't go anywhere.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes it needs to be that balance. I like the fact that this one, it could have been friends to lovers if he hadn't misread the situation initially. Like I could absolutely see that if he had not misunderstood her, or if she hadn't liked him at the time but had grown to like him and thought, oh, I've missed my shot but we're still friends, it still would have worked. I still would have
Yeah.
believed their romance. And I think my favourite thing about it is I absolutely believed these two people got together because one of them was super in love with the other and neither of them realised.
Actually, can I just say my biggest disappointment about this book is that the Limerence series is not real.
Hmm.
Um, I will say if I got to the end of those 5 books and it ended in sadness, I would be I would be mad.
Mm.
But they sound so good.
They
I'm like,
really do. Like as
one
a
day
concept, really clever.
when Ali Hazelwood has time, if she just wants to whip out a 5 book fantasy series, that would be fantastic.
I mean, with the amount of books that she churns out annually, I feel like she's got the time, right? She's got the skills, and will spend money on whatever she publishes. So she's got the audience too. But yeah, no, I think that's cool. I think it reminded me a lot of Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I like the idea that
Yeah,
she's like writing like this fan fiction for this thing that obviously with that one it's very heavily like Draco Harry um, coded. I think what I liked about Limerence was the fact that it could have been any fantasy. It could have been any YA fantasy novel series. It wasn't coded to one specific thing. Like I think if it had been like, oh, this is a SJM reference, I would have loved it less. I think the fact that it kind of held its own as a facet of the book, but its own franchise, like a world within its own world, I really
yeah.
liked. Um, I think that was definitely a plus in the plus column. The way that was handled. Um, I'm trying to think if there's other books that I would compare it to. If you were going to compare this romance to another one, what are like the ones that like jump to mind?
I have also been trying to think about this, and I don't have anything. Um, I can't actually think that I've read a lot of like wintry, snowed in
Mm-mm.
romances. It is a favorite fanfic trope of
Mhm.
mine, and in fact, there are some very good Raylo ones. Um, but I couldn't really think of a book like it.
No, I couldn't either. And I was trying to work out, is that just because I exclusively read summery romances in summer? Because that is a possibility. Like looking at my shelves when I was trying to put my TBR together for next month, I was like, I mean, looking at it, I don't have anything wintry romance wise, except for Good Spirits, which I am actively waiting until Christmas to read. I'm not picking that up before Christmas. It is set at Christmas. I will leave it for Christmas. Um, but I feel like this was nice because it was wintry without it being Christmassy.
Yeah,
Um, and I do feel like it stands on its own. I would not want to pitch this if it was my first book because I'd be like, I don't know what to compare this to. Like, I have not read enough like this, but I think you're right. I've read a lot of fanfic like this, um, which is not a bad thing. Um, yeah, I would happily read 3 or 4 more stories in this group of friends and in this world.
yeah.
Just this story is good where it is. This story works as a novella rather than a novel.
It would be fun to do a continuation, like you said, like if we see them like once the game is done, but even if we saw during the game development, but following other characters,
Yeah,
so we can kind of just see them in the background,
yeah.
because we don't need more of their story. But yeah, I like the world and I like the people.
Mm, me too. Um, Anything else? Because again, like, there's not a lot more that I feel like I can add. I feel like I'm just agreeing with you. What is really nice is unlike Love Theoretically, where I was like, I have a long list of issues. This one, I was like, I don't have many thoughts. I don't have many issues. I just enjoyed it. Like, I finished it in an afternoon. I feel like I just existed with it for a couple of days. Um, and it was nice. It was a nice, like, entry level romance, intro to Ali Hazelwood. I would absolutely recommend this to people. Um, and I feel like it works in that very like tech world that we live in now, but hitting a lot of AO3 tropes at the same time. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm good. So next month I'm reading Not in Love. Um, what what do you think you should warn me about without spoiling for me for Not in Love?
Um, because I think the thing that I would warn most people about is that they might not like the main female character. I love her, but I think that the reason I would warn most people about her is not a reason that you would have an issue with her.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I don't. I mean, I don't know. You might not like her, but I don't think that the reason I think most people won't like her is the reason that you would not like her.
I feel
That's
like
as cryptic as I can get.
I'm gonna like her. Like I feel like I'm getting the vibe that she's either gonna be messy and angry or like some variation of like messy and that I'm just gonna be like, okay. Sure. So okay.
I I
Interesting.
think it. I mean, I struggle, and every time I read one of her books, I'm like, oh, this is my favorite. And like when I read Bride and Maid recently, I was blown away by them. But I've read Not in Love twice. I've read it and then listened to the audio, and I think having some distance because it's been whenever problem no when May came out was that October. So it's been like 5 or 6 months since I've read a new to me Ali Hazelwood book. So now that I have some distance from the most recent one and from having that like, oh, this is the best one, um, I keep coming back to I think Not in Love is my favorite.
Okay. Okay. High expectations then. That's cool. Cool. Well, I have no idea when the live show is going to be. I have no idea.
I am losing you sound wise.
Is there anything else you want to shout out before we
I
briefly
think I'm good on this one.
the live show? No? Not even your own book?
Thank you.
Okay. I'll make sure that I update the info so it's got your book info.
I I can't hear you now because it's just started raining very loudly.
Well, that's fine because we're going to bring this to a close anyway. It has been lovely to chat to you about